Syncopation really came into its own, though, in America with the emergence of ragtime music in the late 19th century. Ragtime grew out of marching band music in around the 1890s, where the beat was steady and loud and bashed out by drums.
You can't mess about delaying beats in marching music unless you want your marchers to trip over themselves. But when musicians wanted to imitate popular marches on the piano alone, they had to make certain compromises.
So the umpa accompaniment that the tubas and the trombones took in the band had to be covered entirely by the left hand, like this.
Still, the beat is completely regular, no syncopations here. But the poor old right hand has to somehow cover not just the tune, but all the other frilly bits that the piccolos, clarinets and cornets share out amongst them. The solution was a piano style that did a bit of tune and a bit of frilly at the same time. And the only way it worked was by hopping from one to the other, dislocating or syncopating the rhythm in the process. An unintended jerkiness was thus added to the music. Everyone liked the jerkiness, the syncopation, so it stuck.
Ragtime's syncopation, just like Bach's or that of the gypsy istam, followed strict rules whereby each delay was of a predictable or identical length. But then something mysterious and magical happened. A new breed of music grew out of ragtime, and what distinguished it was that its syncopation wasn't predictable, but it became elasticated. This new breed of music was jazz, and the elastication of the syncopation, which took place over a period of about a decade, can, thanks to old recordings, be seen unfolding in front of our eyes. This type of syncopation came to be known as swing. Swing, in crude terms, is a kind of lag in the rhythm. The lead line almost gets left behind the main beat of the band. It's as if it's gradually loosening itself from the rigidity of the pulse. It's being cheeky, cocking a snoop at the authority of the drum beat. Indeed, mischievousness is one of the many seductive qualities that swing brings to music. A fascinating insight into the emergence of swing can be seen in the archive recordings of Fats Waller, one of the pioneers of jazz. He started out playing ragtime, not jazz. Here he is in 1923 on a piano roll he made himself, playing "Tain't Nobody's Business If I Do."
The music's syncopated and lively with all the energy of ragtime. Listen out for the way that the tune fits comfortably over the accompanying beat. But then Fats's playing started to get more jazzy. Here's a recording made 6 years later of his hit Ain't Misbehavin'. The right hand playing the tune is getting rebellious, dragging further and further behind the steady beat.
Finally, we can see the journey completed in 1938 at the height of the swing era proper with a recording of Honeysuckle Rose. The whole sound has thinned out. The melody line has become completely elastic, falling behind the beat as if it's being deliberately lazy. The accompaniment is all space and insinuation rather than explicit thump and steadiness. In short, his style has loosened up. It is swinging.
Every honeybee feels jealousy when they see out with me. I don't blame them, goodness knows, honeysuckle rose. When the passing by, flowers drooping sigh, and I know the reason why. You must sweeter goodness knows, honeysuckle rose.
All the syncopations we've encountered so far have taken a steady beat and messed about with what you're expecting it to do. But there's another type of syncopation that rhythm has up its sleeve, and it's devilishly sophisticated and devilishly exciting. Music has been immeasurably enriched by it, especially popular and dance music. In the next part, we'll find out what it is. So far, all our syncopations have been made by shifting an accent or emphasis from one beat to another. But there's another species of syncopation which goes one step further. It takes a whole rhythm pattern with all its associated accents and superimposes it upon another. It's a technique called cross rhythm, and it's as old as the hills, or at least it is in Africa, where musicians have been doing it pretty much forever. Cross rhythm is the bit where drummers show off. It can seem unfeasibly difficult, like completing a jumbo Sudoku challenge while simultaneously ice skating, but the rewards can be thrilling. Cross rhythm is music's party trick, and we're going to find out how to do it. We'll begin with a relatively straightforward cross rhythm, one that even a classically trained musician like me would be able to manage. It involves the superimposition of a 3-beat pattern over a 2-beat pattern in the same amount of time. So we start with our basic 2-beat pattern. Then we'll make 3 beats fit on top of them. Just for fun, I'm going to get Owen and Oliver to swap beats mid-flow. You can see why our ancestors really liked this cross rhythm, can't you? It's dead flashy and it makes the rhythm really motor along. But you don't have to thwack it out on a pair of drums to feel the effect of this 3 against 2 pattern. Here it is in a piece by Brahms. But superimposing 3 over 2 is child's play for an African drummer. For a start, it only involves 2 players. Expertly orchestrated good African drum patterns can involve half a dozen or more separate drum patterns on top of each other, involving a dozen or more players, and the results can be breathtakingly exciting. Overlaying of one rhythm pattern over another has been given a fresh slant in recent years with the development of one of the most widespread and influential of modern techniques, rap. In rap, a percussion section, usually electronic, lays down a basic ground pattern over which the spoken voice enters with its own often very complicated pattern whose rhythmic shape is determined solely by the choice of words.
baseball bat. I tried to get away, but I couldn't get far, cause a man with a tow truck repossessed my car. Don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. Standing on the front stoop, hanging out the window, watching all the cars go by, roaring as the breeze is blown. A crazy lady living in a bag, eating out of garbage pails. Used to be a fag hag, such a dance to tango. Skip the life and tango, a zircon princess seemed to lost her senses.
To all intents and purposes, the voice in rap is behaving like a percussion instrument. This can be demonstrated by taking a hip-hop vocal line and turning it into pure rhythm pattern. Hope is a hybrid song with a rapping verse from Twister and a gospel-inspired chorus from singer Faith Evans. When Twister begins his verse, the real rhythmic action and vitality is provided not by the drum kit playing the ground beat, but by the percussive energy of his voice.
I wish I could teach the world to sing, write some music and have them tripping off the joy I bring. I wish that we can hold hands, listen instead of dissing lessons from a grown man. And I wish the families that lack, but got love, get some stacks, brand new shot in the lack, that's on dubs. And I
We can break this rhythm down to its essentials. Owen here will play us the rhythmic pattern of the ground beat. While Oliver will play the pattern Twister is rapping.
Then one day they can speak again. I wish that we only saw good news every time we look at CNN.
It's immediately obvious that the voices pattern is much more complicated than the backing track. Written down in standard Western notation, these kinds of cross rhythms are fiendishly hard to read at speed, which is one reason why you didn't tend to hear much of it in classical music.
But when classical composers did finally start to play around with layered rhythms in the 20th century, they went slightly bananas, a bit like someone discovering sex for the first time aged 60. The Russian composer Igor Stravinsky composed a ballet score in 1912, The Rite of Spring, about a prehistoric tribe sacrificing a virgin, in which he experimented with elaborate polyrhythms, that's multiple simultaneous beat patterns, much to the horror and alarm of his fellow European music lovers at the time. It's an absolute masterpiece, by the way.